Welcome to New Earth Studios, Love Now by Alex Roseman. We are here in the heart of the wilderness of Dubai. From our beautiful New Earth Cafe, the Conscious Eatery, where we'll be bringing you conscious conversations with our very next guest. Please do your best to click the subscription button so you can see us evolve and grow and ultimately show up in a community near you. Thank you. Trigger warning. This episode may contain content that could be distressing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Hello. Welcome.
Thank you
to the New Earth Studios.
Thank you.
To the New Earth Cafe, a place that I think you've visited maybe once or twice.
Could have been
Today?
maybe several the last hour or the last day, I don't know. Yeah, kind of quite often.
You know what's so special is, the day we opened, you were like a regular.
Yeah.
And so are we, to be fair. I mean, this is a cafe for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And so what is it about the vibe? What is it about the New Earth Cafe? And then we'll move on to you. I promise we'll move on to you.
Perfect. No, it was so funny because when I saw that you were going to open, I was like, I think I was the creepy woman who was walking around the window all the time, like checking, when are you open? When are you open? And every time I asked, they were like, in 1 week. In 1 week, in 1 week. And I'm like, is it ever gonna happen?
I remember. You were like
week?
stalking us for the time being.
So that was like, I couldn't wait for having healthy food back, having other options than, nothing about a good pasta or penne or whatever. But if it's like every day, it's not nurturing. And so I was looking forward for you, a kind of intense, I would say, as in areas as I am, to push that you open faster.
I felt the pushing, actually. I might have been pushed. Wait, darling, can you, the music, please? The thing about shooting and not in a studio, but in a cafe, we're met with real life challenges.
Yeah.
Everybody has their unique tastes and everything else that they're looking for, but doing it here when there's literally people having food and drinks and we're sitting here like having a conversation.
Yeah.
But over water, Kangen water, New Earth water, of course. But able to just chill and feel like we're just having a chat, right? Because in the studio, there feels like there's a bit of persona that we're suddenly, how do we become just our authentic selves and have a space where it can be a space of healing, where we can just share absolutely anything and everything, because there's no judgment, right? That's how I see it. And I've noticed in my own life that the things that heal us is when we feel the safe space to be able to share whatever it is and be accepted as we are. Because whatever we have, whatever the other person has, we also own within ourselves, right? Yeah. So it's beautiful. Yeah. So yes, you were on our case to make sure we open it. Thank you for that. We could have waited another week or two, but I'm really glad we actually we moved forward and made it happen. So, we appreciate it. And look how it's kind of manifested itself, that we've got a platform. Yeah. Now we are new, a few hundred people, maybe a few thousand, but as we progress and amazing people like yourself in this community jump on and actually share their story about how you got to Dubai. What is it that's, what is it taking you? Because it's to get to a place like this, and you're going to share your story with your business to make it work, but also you're met with certain challenges, and there's certain things that happen in your life that have led you to this place where you are. And for those who are watching, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Who is Hannah?
Who is she? Sometimes I don't even know.
Join the club.
No, I think it's, I just spoke to my team just before I sat on this chair, and I was like, I feel this new next level so intense. It's like a next level version of myself. It's not this struggling single mom vibe of the last 2 years, which was like wounded, and was like trying to handle everything and survive and build 2 businesses. Now it's like I'm owning it. I'm owning her. And it's so crazy because, as you mentioned with the cafe and the life happening, sometimes we think our life happens or life happens to us. And if there is a pause, we will do the things we want to do. We will go for the dream. We will love fully. We will do the things completely. But life doesn't work like this. So life is like, it's happening and you have to move. So it's about, for me, it was all about leading myself. So when I came from Germany, there was a situation, everyone knows, I guess, in these times, or the less intense times, where you couldn't really decide about your body, your choices and everything. And I couldn't compromise on my freedom because I'm I'm so much into freedom and to allow myself all the facets and all the experiences. So I had a good life back in Germany. It wasn't that I was like, oh my goodness, we had a house, we had a dog. Of course, I was mom of this amazing little boy. Yeah, and when we came here, it turned out different. So my relationship was falling apart. I decided to step out of it. And I think I didn't know what is coming, because, of course, as a mom, you're never prepared for the things that are coming. And yeah, I remember myself like walking around with those jeans, hot pants, and always this, undone hair and no makeup, and just trying to make it work somehow. But I always was, I was ready to fulfill everything that's needed to go where I wanted to go, and to raise my son in free environment, and to teach him to have no labels and to not judge. And yeah, I think it was kind of an intense journey. So I didn't know Dubai before. I was there once and I thought it's awful. I was like, I went in the Dubai mall with like hundreds of people and thousands of people. I'm like, how can you even live here? It's like, I don't get this whole thing with Dubai. And then I was here for a business retreat where I learned how to do funnels and email automation.
Oh, you went down that road.
Yeah.
Oy, that is minefield, eh?
Yeah.
So you went down that road.
Yeah.
Oh, well done. Okay.
It was a really intense week, and after that, I was like, okay, I will do this step. I will move. I will not stay. I can't stay where I am. And I think the main point back in the days was when I was sitting with my little one outside of a coffee, and at this time you needed to have like a permission to enter restaurants in these crazy times. And I'm like, okay, do I want to raise my child to prove something in order to live a life, And I was like, okay, I can't do this. I can't compromise on that. And yeah, so it was, since then, it's like a journey of figuring out how to make it work, how to be the best version of yourself, how to calibrate through this thing called life, and to not wait for circumstances, and to get back my power. Because there was, I think it was a long journey, also coming from my childhood experiences, to take the power back from the circumstances and to really own my personal power. And I think it's mostly related to how much self-importance you have. Like, if you think you're important, if you believe that your voice should be heard, because if you don't have this feeling in yourself, then you will always put something in front of you I will do it when the weather is good. I will do it when
someday.
The partner is there. I will do it when I feel good. And yeah, I don't know if I actually answered your question.
You've answered somebody's question, and that's what matters, Okay. No, at the end of the day, what is the right question, and anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm conscious there's a beeping noise, and I'm not sure if it's going to be picked up here. Irvin,
Maybe.
Can you hear that beep? Can you go find out where the beep's coming from, please?
We want to know.
Ask them to say, look, we're shooting, please stop the beeping. ASAP. Thanks, mate. Make sure to, whatever they say, there and then. Yeah? Do not come back and say there's beeping still. You stay out until the beeping's done.
We want to know what's the beep.
And, the beeping could also symbolize something like, in our own lives.
Yeah.
Let's see that. When people are hearing this, what is it, like this sound, what does it do? Because some people may not even notice it. Some people may notice it. And then suddenly it may start cause an agitation. So is it the sound that does that? Or is it what's already inside us? As somebody once described that, you get some toothpaste and whatever you squeeze, if you're squeezing it, whatever comes out, it's not because of the squeeze, it's because of what's inside us.
Yeah.
So this is ultimately somebody squeezing the toothpaste, and we're finding out what's coming out of us. And, it's an interesting tale. But your beautiful answer to a question that I think I asked at the beginning, I'm not even, but at the same time, it's not even about, it's not an interview. This is a conversation. There's no wrong or right here. It's just like whatever needs to come out.
Freestyle.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, when I say a question, like anything, we all interpret whatever question or a statement or whatever's said from one person, we internalize it to mean something else. Yeah. And it's something actually I learned from something called the Hoffman experience I told you about. And it's called negative transference. I'm not saying this was negative, this was just a transference. Yeah. But sometimes when we see a situation, when we hear something, we internalize it to mean something that it's not.
Yeah.
And then we project that meaning onto that person and go, oh, and we kind of don't even know where it came from.
Yeah.
And I had this experience, and this, our sort of facilitator, that I projected a conversation I picked up when I must have been 4 or 5 years old, unconsciously, that was playing out that she was X and I was Y, and really it was, you know, my dad. And so it was a whole mix of conversation that was going on, but she was just moving along, right? Yeah. And she had none the wiser. And it's now we have another lovely distraction to bring us into play. Did we find out what it was? Did you ask the security? Yeah. And the mechanist is coming to fix it. Okay, thank you, mate. So, hey guys, this is New Earth Cafe. This is real life. Yeah, you know, we're dealing with real conversation. Dogs barking, alarms going. Should we put a third thing in place? It's like a
firework of things, of experiences.
Exactly.
Like abundance is everywhere.
We internalize it and then we project that onto the other person, right? So whatever we hear, this is where it's so important to be mindful that our own interpretations are not misconstrued and then projected onto some other people, because it can be like a bit of pollution, let's say. You know, unless we've dealt with it ourselves, we become emotional, and then this emotional mess smears on other people. Yeah. So, my goodness, what's happening to that poor dog? Is it a dog?
I hope so.
I hope so. It's a child. My God, somebody called Child Services. Okay, look, I want to know about the circumstances, because you mentioned the circumstances that, you know, you took your power away. What was those circumstances that you felt took your power away and that you needed to get your own power back?
Yeah. I think I don't have to go back all the rabbit hole, but I think what's important is, like, when we grow up, society and even our parents, they didn't know better. So that's why, for me, the whole system is like based on giving power to the powerful and taking the power of the ones who should be humble to be alive and should be humble to be healthy, and that's it, you know. So, and this is how we live for the rest of our life. So long time I was raised like this because we didn't have resources like money. My parents broke up when I was quite little. I have 3 siblings, so it was like, figuring out how to work through all these emotions, being with or raised by a mother who's having like 4 kids. And I think back in these days and most of my life until a certain point, I was like, you know, that's what happened to me and that's it. Like, you have this label, maybe you can't, the beep is gone. Why, that's interesting. What is this? Like, the beep is gone now. I'm coming to the part where the beep is gone. It's like, okay.
You see, it's addressing what's there.
It is. No, so it was like, I thought life is like, okay, these are the circumstances. You make a meaning out of it, and this shapes your identity. So it was always something, and I think it's so interesting because it's always serving us in a way. So every identity piece still has something, you know, that nurtures us as long as we're keeping it alive. Because the moment it doesn't nurture us anymore to be the victim or to be the one who got blamed all the time or who's been left alone or who's been cheated or whatever, then we have to face another experience of ourselves. So, and it's an experience that we don't know by then, because we only know we feel safe in this victim behavior or in this left alone state or in this single mom state or whatever you want to call it, or in this like in debt or with no money or whatever. And we don't have an idea yet on what we would be if this doesn't shape us anymore. And I remember when I came to Dubai, like, I think it was one of the first weeks, I was driving from Blue Water Island with Lani and Levi, which is my nanny and my son. And at one point on Sheikh Zayed Road, I see something falling from my roof, and I'm like, actually, where's my power bank? And she was like, actually, I think it was on the roof. I'm like, okay. And then like 1 minute later, I'm like, can you check where my wallet is? So I left my wallet on the car because I was so, you know, confused in mind. I drove with it to Sheikh Zayed Road, lost it on the highway with everything inside.
Wow.
My IDs, credit cards, everything. I was like crying on the police station, and I remember this one officer, he didn't even work anymore at this time, but he was like, okay, let's go back. I will figure it out. And at nighttime, like a driver, I'm still so thankful, came back with my credit cards, who was like this.
Run
But
over a few times.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say is like you nurture so much drama in your life because this was the one that kept you alive, and you don't even know how it is when the drama is gone. So I think that was the most releasing, and like to give allowance to everything and to allow yourself everything, and also to take your power back from this happened to me, and okay, how does it influence me now? And I think that's, I don't know, that if I can describe my work as well, it's like bringing the power back to the people, because if we become
Bring your power bank
the
back.
bank,
And
power bank, bring me my
you
power
see
bank in case
your
you
power
found
bank
it.
and your warped credit cards. And funny enough, like you said, the drama, let's say the symbolism in this podcast right now, straight off the get-go, was the beep.
Yeah.
And when you, that drama is like a beep.
Yeah.
It was in my head, it was in your head.
Yeah.
But when you have grown up with that beeping, you don't know there's beeping until it stops.
Yeah.
And when you stop, you go, oh my goodness. And when it does stop, there's a certain anxiety to get that noise back.
Yeah.
Because we go, no. What is my life if it's not the drama? If I'm not reacting
Yeah.
within my amygdala,
Exactly.
then what's my purpose?
Yeah.
If I'm not surviving and, churning milk into butter as I'm trying to get out of it, then what is the point?
Yeah.
Because then once you address and you get beyond that, it's like beyond the clouds, and there's that stillness. The stillness can be so deafening.
Yeah.
So you were having this beeping going on. What was your revelation, let's say, when you noticed the beeping that was going on in your head? When was that? Was that before Dubai? Is that coming to Dubai? Is that the sort of...
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it was, I still came with it to Dubai because I was in this relationship where I'm like, of course, because I'm raised by a single mom, you don't want that for your child. You still believe in this family thing, and you like have to make it work. And like backwards, I would say, if I'm looking back, I also ignored some signs that were there. But still, when I did this move to break up and to face this life alone here with my son, still I felt like, the one that isn't seen, the one that is not, understood, the one that is being shamed or physically abused or whatever. So it's like, I think the hardest crash was within 2022, where I felt like I don't want to tell the same story all over again. I'm just so tired of it. And it really cracked me open. Like, I had very intense times in my life, and a lot of them, but this was more like, I can't go on like this. I will not create anything, what I really desire, if I go on with this, because it's like, you self-sabotage in your relationships, you self-sabotage in your business, you self-sabotage in everything. And there's always something to fix, as you said. So the minute we don't have to fix anything anymore, like, where do we gain the love? And I could really say it was the journey to myself. In my business, I've never been more clear than how I am today when I'm sitting here. I've never been more into my, my behaviors and also the direction I'm going. I'm not apologizing anymore. I'm not doubting myself. I'm like... Yeah, I think I made peace with not being perfect and not deciding perfectly for everything and everyone to every time. But most of the time, or most of the importance I give to the fact that I set myself free from the shame and the guilt, and yeah.
This is where, we look at the old Earth, and I look at the old Earth as the Alex, and I call him the idiot. The idiot is the one that sits... is in the seat of the amygdala, the reactive, living by its lowest values, basically projecting a world out there that's not ultimately true, but we minimize ourselves. And then we feel, shamed because of events that happened in the past, because we didn't have the foresight to actually see the other side of what we shamed.
Yeah.
And actually see, well, if there's a negative, then obviously there's a positive to counteract it, because the universe works in duality.
Yeah.
I've said this over and over again. People are like, okay, I get it now, Alex. But the point is...
the next time
but because I've heard it intellectually, but until we really get it and we actually observe it in our lives, we're still reactive.
Yeah,
and I still even say,
Yeah.
so I'm reminding myself as I get on the podcast, it's like, okay, the events that come to us, it's about having the wisdom and foresight to see that both things are coming simultaneously, have the positive and negative. Whatever, if we perceive it as good or we perceive it as bad, it's neither.
Yeah.
So when we go back to a part of our history, to our childhood, where we first sort of encountered this feeling, and then we look at the other side, we can actually see, there's nothing shameful about anything. It's just about owning a part of myself that I had left back in time, you know? And the universe is conspiring to lead us back into equilibrium, to address the very fragments of ourselves we've left, you know, back in the time that we've frozen ourselves there. So it's little knocks along the way to go, hey, love that part of yourself, bring you back into the present moment and let's go. Yeah. But it's that bringing us to that place, and we want to ignore it because it means going to a place we don't want to go. We know it's at the back of the mind. Some people don't even know it's there because they're so detached from it, right? But the universe is ultimately leading us back into love. It's all about equilibrium. And the only way to get there is by shifting a perception we have from past events to see the completeness of it, to then free us from that place. And it sounds like you went through a journey of just going, you know what? I'm exhausted telling me this story because who's it serving? And it's like for anybody watching this, because it's ultimately a victim mindset. And I've been there myself, and certain things come up that triggers the victim mindset. It's like, wait a minute, there's no victim and there's no villain. You know, there's no duality, there's no polarity. So whoever I perceived as whatever it was, did something wrong to me, has abused me. Well, if I hold on to that story, then I'm going to keep on attracting situations until it wakes me up. So rather than wait for the universe to conspire to wake you up, when you decide to say the story is so exhausting, let me just wake myself up now, your whole life just shifts, right?
Yeah, I think it's also like if you're not even enjoying your own company anymore, then you're like, okay, is my presence making my life better or the people around me? And then you're like, well, actually, maybe not, not in a way that I would like to spend time with myself. And also there's so much projecting in potential partners and in friendships and in all those things. And what you just mentioned is so interesting because I think that's, if we look back in history, that's what we learned. You know, it's like keeping the people with power powerful, taking away the power from the humanity, because then we don't have to fear that they will lose the power. So the only way how we can make them lose their power is like putting nothing that is attractive in being powerful. You know, like if you have money, you're a bad person. If you gain for more, you're not humble. And all these, like, for me, it's like a manipulation, because how do we not dare to live brave and to desire everything and to be grateful and to decide that we matter, you know? But I think that's why I love to be in these times as well, because we create a new paradigm in my reality, because it's like gaining your own power, experiencing your own power and allowing yourself to want more money, love, freedom, whatever it is. I think there has never been a time where we see more clearly on things. You know, it's like sometimes I feel like it's unfolding, everything in politics, in society and everything. And the awareness rises from people the more they have access to other people and to other beliefs. And I think that's something that also for women, like if I work mostly with women, it's most of the biggest things to set themselves free and to allow to desire more and to not be not grateful and not humble and all the things. And for me, it's nothing I desire to be nice, you know, and to be liked and to be relatable. It's nothing that I don't know. I felt like in school and in our life, like even, or especially for girls, it's like we crave for this like badge of honor. She's been so humble, you know, she's been such a good girl. She's been so humble, and she was so happy with less. And no one ever honored someone who's like, she handled her kids and she did her business and she built a multi-million-dollar brand or whatever. She went for her dreams, or she broke up and set herself free. That's not something you honor in society. So I think it's needed to create this new paradigm where we don't have those labels, but live with always an end. Like for me, it's always end. I can be like successful and a very grateful person. I can change things with money. So it's very interesting, the direction we're going.
Well, I just want to, absolutely. This is your reality, right?
Yeah.
And so you've obviously been dealing with the struggles of success and money, and as a woman, and I think that's ultimately what's been the issue. That it seems like this is what a hurdle that you're seeking to get over.
Yeah.
So when you say like in society that woman who's successful and is making money and basically owning her life, in certain societies that's praised, and some places it's not. But for you in your world, where do you feel you're being met with the challenge where it's not being accepted? Because it's in your reality, right?
Yeah.
Where do you feel you're not being accepted for making it? Like,
Yeah.
where does that come from?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I reflected a lot about it for, especially the last year, I would say, and the last 6 months. And like one business of mine is a network business, and it's a brand or a company that is really doing huge things in charity on this planet. Like it's really huge. Like it's the heart of it. And it's so funny because I didn't want to say that. Actually, I wanted to start somewhere else. But anyway, what I actually wanted to say was,
I love
there's
it.
so much in my head.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay,
this is the
my
place
brain's
to
like,
untangle.
"Wah."
This is the untangle
Bring it all up,
podcast.
bring it up. No, I think what I wanted to say
Yeah.
is like, I don't know if it's a society thing or especially between women, but we love to see a hero story. So we love the struggling mom, that is like handling everything well, and she's just doing great, and she's doing the best she can, and then she reaches a point, and then it becomes uncomfortable because then she's like showing us our shadows and our desires, and then she's maybe stepping out of the field of predictability, or that I can't be, that she's not relatable anymore. And I think that's one of the greatest like, how do you say, instruments to judge, because what can I say if I'm not relatable anymore? It's like decided, it's like, okay, I'm done. So I think that's quite interesting that we love those hero stories until a certain point, and when the woman really shows up for herself, really sets herself free, then we have the opposite going on, which is like, okay, but now you're not relatable anymore. And this is so interesting, these dynamics, because I think the need to be relatable is like killing so much of our vibe, because it's not something that not everyone has to move to Dubai, not everyone has to be self-employed, not everyone has to have the desire to want more. But if someone has it, it's like easy to say, well, before we liked you because you were known, you were comfortable, you were safe for us, and now you're stepping into this field where we don't know if we need to move, if you move. And that's what happens, because for me, leadership is movement, is like being in, constantly moving. And of course, if we move, other people has to move too.
I feel like there needs to be a soundtrack. You know that song, You Move, I Move. You know that one I'm talking about? You move, I move. Because I just don't know, you move.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, okay, so let me just...
I don't know what was the question. Sorry.
It's okay, but I like this because there's things that are coming to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Because you talked about paradigm, and there's a particular paradigm that you're living within.
Yeah.
And it's your reality at the end of the day. I'm just a manifestation of what it is that you've concocted. So good or bad, it's up to you. So, this idea about, this moving forward and being the hero. Because it sounds like, I know it's going to be a question I would ask, what if your life was a movie, what would it be? Mm. And it seems like, let me guess before you cannot jump in, that you'd be the sort of superhero mum that's making her life a success and going through all of this stuff. But then if you're a hero in your life, that means there has to be a villain. Mm, so who's
true.
your villain?
That's true. That's interesting. It's kind of really a very good question. I don't even know if there is like a villain in a way. It's more like, it seems sometimes, I think it's also a mom thing with this hero story. Like, for me, every woman is her own hero in a way, but not in a way that it needs the opposite side. But I really I respect so much what women are doing. It's like incredible. Like even women with more than one child is like, I don't know how you handle it. It's like, My goodness.
So so it feels like the villain ultimately is yourself, and you're also the hero.
Yeah.
Because everybody has the villain and hero inside them, right? We have to understand that we own every single trait there is.
Exactly.
So it seems like, and I could be absolutely wrong, that maybe you've been hard on yourself by being a mother.
Yeah.
And that villain inside you who's been criticizing yourself,
Yeah,
bringing up your
definitely.
child, that you've realized there's appreciation to women, ultimately maybe appreciation to your mum.
Yeah.
That you went, wow, maybe you didn't give it appreciation when you're growing up. And there's maybe a sense of guilt and all the other maybe emotions that are unresolved.
Yeah.
That is within you, your mother, but also you bringing up a child. So there's that guilt that you feel like you're not doing the best you can, but you are doing the best you can. And that, my God, you know, every mother's a hero, and really you're realizing your mum's a hero.
Yeah.
So when you realize that, and you come to that place, do you feel you've done the best you can? And do you feel it's like, what is that connection to this? Because I really want to get under the bonnet of this hero thing. Ironic because of the car power bank, but under the bonnet with regards to your feeling about the hero, because it sounds like you're just tough on yourself, and it sounds like you are ultimately tough on yourself. Then this villain within inside you, and your hero is overcoming the villain to say that you're not good enough, and you're saying, I am good enough. Yeah. Oh my God, how did, and then your child comes along and needs something, and you're barely like able to give to yourself because you're building a business, and then you might push him away or whatever, and then you feel guilty, and then you go, my God. So you're playing this sort of back and forth. With the hero and the villain within inside yourself. And then the events around you are just instigating that within you. Does that sound about right?
Totally. And I think, I don't know if I can speak for all the mothers, but I think it's a mom thing to always questioning yourself when you're not really, 100% in a safe space where you're like, can I say fuck it up actually?
Yeah.
Okay, I might fuck it up.
I think you just did.
I think it's yours, so I need your permission.
That's all right.
And we will, but I think it's how much you can be okay with it. So I accepted that I can only do, that I can only act from the best version I am at the moment. So maybe I look back and in the future I'm saying, well, today I would decide different, or today I would guide him different, or whatever. But at the moment it's like, I'm in alignment. Like, it's not shaming about me. It's like conscious decisions. If I need to work late, that means I can't spend time with him. If I'm with him, that means I can't do things for my business. And I think I made peace with the gap that is in between. That it's a decision. So if I decide I need to, put my CEO pants on and do the things, then that is what it is. But I think it's about also communication with our child to be like, I want to do this. It's also a switch in our communication, not I have to or I need to or mommy's working and that's why. And this is something I try to really improve my language to really communicate in a more functional way. Because if I say I desire to do that, I move women, I leave, my footprints on this planet, then it's not like, I have to, and then it's this guilty feeling coming up. And I think this was also the main points that I shifted towards other people, because of course he has also grandparents and a father and all the people around it. So you have to even hold more space for their emotions, for their expectations, for their experience, for their imagination of your life, how it should be. And
well, that's an interesting one when you say how it should be, because obviously when we hear a should, that's an external judgment. That's an external interpretation of how one's life should be. So do you feel there's a should on you at the moment?
I don't know if I can ever remove it, because I decided to move to another country with my child, which means in the consequence of this decision that he can't see them on a frequent base. That's just how it is. But the question is how I'm okay with it, because if I compare him seeing whoever back in his, where we come from, versus he's been raised in freedom, with education, with different languages and different religions, and with a entrepreneur mindset, I would always choose this way. Because in my experience, family is not only mother, father, kids, is like friends, is like a nanny, is like kindergarten is like, I don't know, I treat it like this. And
Exactly.
I think it's also how we see the people who work with us or for us. For me, also my nanny is like, she's part of the family. You know, it's not like someone I pay for taking care of my child. It's like I want her to speak to him like I would do. I want her to feel appreciated, to be, you know, like have the same benefits than we do. And yeah, I think.
Well, our higher selves lives in a world of transformation, and our lower self, our idiot self, lives in the illusion of gain and loss. So it sounds like what you're saying is, look, I know the family's there, and you know it could be seen as a bad thing, and they may have their own judgments because I am a woman who took, you know, my son over to Dubai because I felt it was the best thing for us.
Yeah.
They may not understand that, but they don't have to understand that, because at the end of the day, your parents, are they your mentors, or are they just your parents? Well, there you go. Are they living the life that you want to live?
No.
There you go. So you just see them for what they are and go, thank you so much for, you know, everything. Now you've made your decisions. And like with the universal laws, there's just as many positives as there are negatives. So whatever they think is he's missing from being at home, nothing. There's no such thing.
Exactly.
As you said, well, that family has, the form of that family has transformed here in Dubai.
Yeah.
So everything he needs from grandparents now transforms into the nanny, the schools. So it's, the energy has transformed.
Yeah.
And you trusted enough in yourself and the universe, even if you knew it or not, to say, well, it will figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because also, if you went against yourself and said, no, I need to put him at the top, family's number one, then you'd be going against yourself, because it seems like what you value is business.
Yeah.
You're a businesswoman, but maybe the guilt of going, well, maybe I should have put my family first because my family say that is important. But what tends to happen, people who put family at the top usually live in, they have a sort of, they're in poorer countries who value family, as in wealth-wise, because they don't put money and career at the top, which is, it makes sense, you know. But if you put the career and business and money at the top, and you put, you know, family second or third, then ultimately you're going to have more prosperity, because that's what you value more. Nothing's good or bad. It's just a matter of wherever our values are aligned. So there you are, putting the values there. You've got your shoulds of your family over here who put their families maybe at the top, yours business at the top, and you have a clash.
Yeah.
So what it's about is like how to communicate those values to one another so that they can see how it actually impacts their values by going, well, because I'm doing this, it actually helps support the values by X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And then when you communicate to their values in that way, they can go, okay, because you're talking to what they love and feel.
Yeah.
But when you feel guilty and it comes into the shoulds, then you don't know how to communicate that. Then there's a discord, and you're kind of butting heads because you're not, you know, meeting each other. So it's just a matter of, you know, obviously, like everything is communication, knowing how to communicate to their values, and, you know, and not feeling guilty that you felt this was the best thing for you, because nothing is missing. You're just living by your dharma, excuse me, your dharma.
Yeah.
La 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 la. So you're living by your dharma.
Yeah.
Rather than going against your own soul. So by going, no, let's stay home, and then you deflate yourself, and then when you feel deflated, your son will feel that anyway, and then it'd be like, well, what's better? You know, your families might be happy, but then you're not.
Exactly.
So sometimes we just have to do whatever it is and choose the path that our higher self resonates with the most, even if it doesn't make logical sense. And it on paper is like, no, just what am I doing? You know, like this doesn't add up. No. I need a serious equation to make this. Like, what is a simultaneous equation?
This? Oh, it was me actually.
Yeah, and my wife and I did the same thing. Like, really, we were just like, what are we doing? And I'm writing the book now, and I'm like, oh my God, how are people going to read this? So it's like, you know, because you look at it and go, that's mad. But when you are with your higher self and you feel like, you know, this is a purpose bigger than me. And now we'll lead into your business, a nice little segue, but it's, when you're aligned to that, your higher self shows up. You're then stepping into your power. That is the most protective force there can possibly be on the universe, because you're ultimately stepping into who you truly are, the ethereal, the telos, the higher self, the absolute, where you're unapologetically yourself.
It's such a difficult word.
And when you're in that place, you know, everyone else may interpret, like we mentioned at the beginning, negative transference, you know, their projections. I mean, we have to deal with that stuff. And at the beginning, it's hard when you're still attached in the family dynamics and there's projections and it's like, somehow you think you're less and you should be like them, like everybody does until they step into their power. They do everything they feel like they should do to not upset the equilibrium they feel and the balance. But when you step out of that, then you're not in that game anymore of fear of loss and gain. You're not in the duality. You're actually stepping into the creative energy that you're actually building and seeing your life transform in front of your eyes because, you're in a place of love, loving yourself.
Yeah.
And ultimately not feeling, guilty for making that decision, because whatever you feel like he might have perceived, he might have lost being at home, like, their family dynamic was. Yeah. He's also got it from here. Yeah. So it's just relieving yourself of the shame and guilt, it seems like. And that you're not the villain anymore, that you need to be the hero against, which is the shoulds and coulds from your family being the villain, ultimately, their values, they should be your values. Yeah. So that's the villain going, well, soon they're going to understand and accept me. Yeah. When really it's about, no, I just need to accept and get myself and love myself. And they will. Yeah. Through my act of loving myself, there's no more duality anymore. There's no more hero. Yeah. Because there's no more villain. Yeah. Exactly. It's just love. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. I think it also was a big step to not expect someone to understand. Like before, I was always trying to make them understand and make them see what I'm doing, and see what I'm.
I can see that.
And see what.
And it's exhausting, isn't it? Because you're having to show people how successful you are rather than just feeling it. Yeah. Because if you have to keep showing it to people, then you're really saying, "I'm not." Yeah. Because whatever you're expressing, you're also suppressing the other side. Yeah. Because there's the other side. So if you're feeling like proud in 1 minute, you're really feeling shame that you're suppressing. Yeah. Because you feel like you're never going to be accepted by them because you made the move. Yeah. So no matter how successful you are, you will not be able to be accepted. Absolutely. So it becomes this, and then you're stuck in this thing. And no wonder your power bank's here and the phone's there and your wallet's over there because you're just like, because I mentioned this before and I've mentioned it many times. The relationship you have with your parents is what you have with the world. And the relationship you had with your childhood is what you have with life. Is that dog like literally?
Yeah, it's scratching.
Okay, I just thought so. So very loud. Hello. So anyway, you hear what I'm saying? Yeah. So
totally.
Yeah. Wow, today's been quite an interesting day of bringing people in. It's like we're manifesting all these like beeps and sounds, and it's all symbolic. Yeah. We're attracting this for a reason because people who are hearing this, and maybe they're not even picking it up, but we're hearing these noises everywhere. That is ultimately the drama and the stories we tell ourselves that makes these noises in our head, and we don't even know what silence is until we embrace those aspects of ourselves that we've been running away from, or we feel like we have to show. Because I know exactly what you're feeling, because I've gone through the exact same thing, and sometimes it still shows up, and I'm like, how is it still there? Yeah. In 1 minute you feel like, you just feel like, I'm free from it. And the next minute you're like back to square one. You're going, I feel like a child, having to like, I'm over here. This is who I am. And you feel like, ultimately, it's just being the parent to your own inner child. That's it. That you're the parent. Yeah. That is the only parent that's really needed. You know how to best nurture the little child within yourself. Yeah. And you have that. And then when you show yourself how to do that, then you show your son. And then you show your parents, then you show the world around you.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because it's also like the same happens when you look at energetics and leadership, because you have this victim and villain dynamics. Then of course you're always both. That's something I realized in those 2 years, that I'm never only the victim, I'm also the villain, because then you can control via, I don't know, I'm stepping out of contact, or I'm, taking my love out of this relationship or whatever. So it's like so interesting, and how it shows up in our business as well, because we lead our teams often like family, but it's actually not, because sometimes it's dynamics. Okay, I invested so much time in you, I did so much for you, and now you're decided to step out of the business, or you decided to change to another team or whatever. And then all these beliefs and all these emotions and everything comes up, and we attach meaning to circumstances. And I think that's of course, what the human experience maybe is. My coach said once, we are meaning-making machines. So everything has to make sense in order for our brain to decide, is it safe or not? Do we know or not? Is it comfy or not? But by doing that, it's like, as the beep, it's like, I do it even if there is a beep. I will do it even if, and I will try to figure out how I will do it. But it's not, I'm waiting till the beep is gone, and then the circumstances are maybe perfect, and then I'm gonna do it. And then that's like the next self-sabotage. And it's so interesting, like I could go down this rabbit hole forever, because it's related to everything in our life, the way we lead ourselves, and how free we are from attachments. And that's what I wanted to say actually in my business. I was also like fulfilling needs for different people, because they saw me as this struggling mom, as the mom who, I don't know, just tried to figure out how to live life, and being relatable and not asking for too much. So that was like how people saw me. So I was like one of them, also trying to figure out. And when I stepped into my power, and my content changed, and the value changed and everything, then it moved in a way to, okay, now she's not one of us anymore. And it was so interesting to see that, because in the beginning, when I wasn't 100% sure, I didn't embody the change already. So I was still in this cocoon like a butterfly, like, ooh, yes, I look ugly, but... And I think that's also the other thing. As a leader, you do it in front of others. And that's the difference. You don't go back, hiding yourself, doing the transformation stuff, and then, ta-da! It's like you do it in front of your team, you do it in front of your Instagram, you do it in front of your community. And that takes a whole nother level of self-acceptance and self-love, and being okay with failing. And I think that's something also our whole system is on a whole different setting, because it's all about avoiding failures. It's all about avoiding, it's so interesting. And for me, all the failures made this happen, because I experienced the pain, I experienced the growth, I experienced myself. And to find this truth in yourself, to know who you really are beyond the projections, to see, I know myself, and in which intention I'm writing my content, or in which intention I'm leading my team or my community. And if someone is in my world for longer, they know, because they hear through my words what is the intention. So we don't need to talk about my intention all the time. But I think it's easy to judge people if they speak about success or money or having more in life. It's easy to judge if you don't actually know which intention the person holds within themselves. Does it make sense?
Yeah, well, 100%. I have a phrase is, be mindful to know what their intention is with your attention.
Yeah.
Because, big tech companies, everything else, billions and billions, where do they get it? It's your attention.
Yeah.
How do they get your attention? And what is their intention once they have it? Is it to make money? Is it to lead you towards whatever it is? And it's just about education, That's why we're bringing this podcast together, because it's about educating society. It's about, the making local communities, global communities, as this goes around the world, So, your story, and, it sounds like you went through a metamorphosis, this transformation that took place. What is it that moment of you were in one place, and now you're in this place? What does that actually mean? What does that look like?
You mean what's the difference in between both?
Yeah, you said you were in one place and you stepped into your power. So which leads me to asking, define that. What is your power? How did that look when you stepped into it? And why did it trigger, do you feel, other people around you?
I think it has different layers, because it's somehow related to my business, somehow related to the whole industry, because as I mentioned, one business is network marketing, and I think the industry is quite, there's a lot to do in a very positive way, because it's very about self-serving, it's very about sales, it's about numbers, it's not about the best for us, it's about the best for myself. And there's a lot of lack in leadership skills, because it's about fear of existence, building a business, everyone can do it. And in my case, it was like no one ever spoke about money in the hands of women, and to have intentions with it and to shape the world with it. So it was like, or you be a good person and you do the charity thing and you help each other, and we don't have to have this stuff, you know, we don't have to.
That was part of your business model?
No, not of mine, but it's like the brand I'm working with, the how do you say, the paradigm that has been created around it was like, we do the good stuff, we sell what we love, or we share what we love, but we actually don't really sell in a way, you know? And I came in because I love selling. I'm like,
Okay.
I love to sell.
Well,
because I think that makes lives better if I have a good intention. And this was quite it created a wave, let's say it like this.
So this company, just to get it right, you joined a company.
Yeah.
And people are with it more about helping charities.
Yeah.
So they would make money for charities.
No,
they would
sorry
take a little
if I
bit for
got
themselves.
that point not straight, but it was like, it's kind of the intention is like to help the world heal.
Yeah.
And if we help the world heal, who am I to talk about massive success? Who am I to talk about while others are maybe struggling, or while others are, you know, not in this position?
Okay.
And I was the one, in my experiencing, opening the field of, and what if we could do both? Like,
okay.
what if we can be our best self with pure intention and earn money and share this with people to make the world better? So this created a massive,
ripple
huge
effect.
wave, because it was like I remember this one moment last year. I was invited to speak in a business symposium, like 1,500 people watching, and I'm like, okay, I was sitting in front of this laptop, and I'm like, okay, two options. They will shut down the Zoom while I'm speaking, or I don't know what happens, but it was like myself setting myself free.
It was like Jerry Maguire sending the memo
exactly.
to the office. Okay.
It was so fun, and I was like shaking while speaking, and I felt like there's something happening. And after, it felt like such a release for the whole company in a way.
So you were saying what everybody else was suppressing. You expressed what they suppressed.
Yeah. And this was I could feel literally the breathing. Like, we had like 500 new people on my Instagram. We had like hundreds of messages. And since then, and if I look back, because regarding to your question, if I look back, I still didn't fully embody this new thing like that I felt. And I think it got me the last year where I was like, still, if I would say something and you would do like, you know, doubting it also, I'm like, okay, am I really a good person? Is it really okay to do it? And now I'm like solid, you know, I'm like, I know myself, I know my truth, I know why I'm doing it. Something has to change. We have to detach all these emotions and all these patterns from selling and from sharing and from creating our business, because we take all those patterns and all those hurt feelings or not felt feelings to our business, and then we put the expectations on our clients or on our business partners to show us that we are loved or that we are a good leader. And I see myself as bringing allowance to women to fully embrace, to live unapologetically their life, and also to ask for more and still be, you know, still being a good mother, still being, grateful, and still being happy about your coffee in the morning and appreciating every euro that you earn or every dirham. And on the other side, you still have this desire to create more impact and to change and to take people on your journey. And I think the last year was quite of the step from me speaking my truth, but not really 100% embodying it, and also allowing my borders to be crossed and to judge myself, because people judge me because I'm charging for my programs, you know, that I'm not doing it for free and all those things.
Yeah.
And now it changed, like really owning it, because I really went down into my zone of genius. I really went down, okay, what made me survive my childhood, what patterns, what talents I created, and how does it serve me now in my sales?
You started to actually confront what you deemed as weak, and actually said, this is where my power is.
Yeah.
The things I shamed, the things I put at the back, that is where I draw my power from.
Yeah.
And the more we ignore it, the more we create these situations that we leave things here and there, like we sabotage ourselves because ultimately we're activating that power bank within. So,
The power bank.
you know, so it's awesome to hear that, because I feel like, you know, a similar path to a degree. You know, I think if people can relate to what you're saying, you know, like stepping into that power, you know, And I've noticed it. Ultimately, your power is your voice.
Yeah.
Your power is speaking up.
Yeah.
Your power is not suppressing, even though it feels like you're mad because you're the only one going to say it. But everybody else is thinking it. It's just the one person who just can't sit with it any longer, that just says, I have to say it no matter what.
Exactly.
And they're the people who are game changers. They're the ones who people talk about. And you just happen to show up in this industry that just went, I can't suppress it anymore. I just have to speak up, even if it's for the collective, no matter what happens. And you're an outlier in that sense, you know, that you're like an authority that just, you know, came about. And it's really fascinating because now you've opened the way for others, you know, to do the same. So this program that you were doing before, that's part of this company, they would give it out for free ultimately, right? Like someone would just go, hey, I'm going to educate people, lead it into the product. And it's the deterra oils, right? That would then make people buy it. But you were like, you know what, there's a program, it's my time, I'm educating people. It's a course here. I feel, in my experience, that this can be charged as well as anchoring it in with the deterra oils. Is that something about right?
Yeah, that was the funny part, because it wasn't even related to the oils itself. It was more about leadership, becoming the version of yourself who is actually selling free of expectations, and you know, this hurt feeling of giving and taking, because I think there's a lot to heal in this relationship. If I have to give back, if I get something from you, and all those feelings. So it was actually quite detached from the product itself. It was more about developing the person, and it was so interesting in a way, because, you know, this showed so much about leadership, because of course some people feared that people taking my programs will make them more powerful, will make them more self-led, will make them give their own answers. And that's why I think we need to change so much in this industry, because it's not like the old management, I'm telling you what to do and you just follow the how and the what, but you never ask why. And I'm bringing in the why. It's like I develop the people, which takes longer, of course, than giving them scripts and telling them you have to just do it, you know, you just do it. And then you have to talk to people, and every person is like a target, and you shoot and then you get a sale. And for me, it's like, who do I become, or who do I need to become in order to attract self-led people? Because that's the only way I'm seeing in business, if you work with self-led people, because otherwise you will always expect me to fulfill your, you know, need of desire, your need of love, your need of self-importance. And if my cup is full and your cup is full, it's like, you know, sky's the limit. So it's like, yeah, so it's a lot reflecting in money and in investments, and
So you had the foresight to kind of see that, you know what, rather than people become dependent on you, that in fact this education, this stuff that you're sharing is empowering them to ultimately do the same and to own their life. Because when they're dependent on you, you know how difficult that is, because you have a child that's shown you that. And I don't think you wanted more children, let's say, because that can be projected on you to save them. And you're like, no, thank you. Actually, you know what? You can be independent. Here's how. Using the business model, while there's training, you can do the same, replicate it, and spread that message out there.
It's so funny that you say this, because this is exactly what I'm experiencing, that a lot of people, it's also like a badge of honor in how many WhatsApp groups you are, and how many things you take care of, and how you know, it's like a timer, the one who responds the fastest in the client groups also. So there's so much when it comes to leadership and how to lead your teams, how you see yourself and how you nurture yourself, or if the only way you feel appreciated and you feel as a good leader is being in interaction all the time, taking care of everyone all the time. And my approach is different, because the most successful teams in my team are the ones who don't need me. You know, they
of course, they're self-sufficient. Yeah. The last thing you want to feel like you have to babysit people.
Exactly. But it still nurtures a lot of people to babysit, because then they feel their own importance, you know.
We all need it to a point, you know. It's like my wife she makes her nest so comfortable that people, we sometimes have adults, you know, who come and it's like they don't want to leave. And then I have to kind of do the whole kicking out, and they have to then fly, and, you know, and it's like doing it in the most delicate way to say, look, the universe, you know, is going to give you support, and it's also going to give you challenge to meet it. Because what happens if we're too supportive with people, it creates entropy.
Exactly.
You know, we actually degrade.
Yeah.
But then challenge, you know, gives us that growth that we need. So we need that fine balance, you know, right on the edge. And it's just, you know, and that seems like you're finding your groove on that, where it's just enough growth and support that then they can take off, and it becomes a formula that then becomes second nature. And I think you're stepping into your stride. You know, your wings are starting to expand, and people are noticing that because you've come in. You're a disruptor, right?
Exactly.
You came in, you disrupted this industry, which, and it's. I just learned this recently that altruism is in direct proportion of shame from your past. And so if you feel like there's some shame in the past, we become altruistic because we feel like we need to compensate for things in the past. So then it attracts people like yourself and all these other women, let's say, and men, of course, into this industry that go, you know what? I'm feeling that, so I'm going to do something good for charity. Because they're living in an illusion that somehow there's some shame. So it keeps them in the shame. And you're like, hey, look, wait a minute, let's not stay in shame. Let's break free from that paradigm and say we can have the other side as well. So make this sustainable.
Exactly.
Because it just wouldn't be sustainable if you couldn't make money from it, you know, and actually support your life. You're a single mother that needs to earn money to live, you know, and live the life you want. And nobody has the right to tell you that that's wrong or that's right.
Definitely.
You know, and at the end of the day, it's just your like freedom to say, I just want to create the life I want to create. And everybody has the right to do so. And whatever reasons that we have in our heads that we project outwardsly, that means that we feel like we're not deserving of abundance. That's the journey within.
Exactly.
That's something we have to look at in ourselves. And whatever we're projecting or judging in others is ultimately an unhealed aspect of ourselves that we have yet to love. And when you stand and you're showing yourself, like I am right here and you are right now, we are going to invite that. But we understand that if you don't, and we put ourselves down, we suppress ourselves, then who are we doing that for? We're doing it because then we're saying that everybody else is more important than ourselves. So we go against our own soul. We go against our own higher self until we have the courage to go, no, I can handle it. And when you did it last year, people were pushing you, were like, whoa, let me just get, like, it's a bit wobbly, like, here I am. But, you know, that's part of the territory, right? And then I mean, the heights are your limit, right? I mean, it's just, you can just fly from here.
I love what you're saying because I said this once in a program. I was like, belonging is a decision. So I think the vibe, if I have to put it in visuals, is like before I entered the room and hoped someone will like me, and now it's like hopefully I will like someone. So it's like, you know, it changed from what do they think about it? How will they feel? Can they take it? Is it too much? Is it too direct? Is it too fierce? Is it too this and is it too that? And now it's like, okay, I'm trusting that the right people will come to my programs, that the right people will decide with their own mind and their own power to invest in themselves. And who am I to tell them where to invest and not? So it's like, it changed, and it's something I think we need to do more often as women, to pull this chair and to put it on this table and to decide, I belong here. You know, what my voice matters. It's like I'm not waiting until the circumstances or if someone approves. So, when will this ever happen? Someone is coming saying, Alex, you're struggling your whole life, but now it's the day. And you
Fairy
get
godmother.
the badge of honor, and now we decided collectively that you belong. So it's like there is
you have no idea how long
thing.
I've been waiting to hear that, Hannah. My goodness. Where were you when I was a child? But you had this thing when I was a kid, like waiting for the fairy godmother. I swear to myself that, you know, this fairy godmother would come in and just, you know, and that wand would come up, and then after a time you realise that it ain't going to show up. And there's that sinking feeling going, but the fairy tale, you know, like, well, how? Is this my life? Like the realization, and go, oh my God. So I relate to that idea of something showing up. But when you said about going into that room, it made me think something, because you're absolutely, you know, for sure, when you go in, it's not about, you know, what they think of you. It's, you know, well, I attract the right people. But really now it's like, I think of it now, if I go into a room, will I like myself in that room?
Yeah, exactly.
And if I'm in that room and I don't feel this is a room I want to be in, then I can just walk out.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and go, okay, I'm just going to move towards, unapologetically, to the places I want to be. To be fair, for me, it's home. here,
Yeah.
home here, home here. That is my
HH.
life, and
like double
and
H.
that's okay,
Yeah.
But it's finding yourself and going the get to rather than have to.
Yeah.
In that place, and you've obviously start to find that place where you feel you get to live your life, where maybe before, as you were going through your metamorphosis, it was like a struggle, so it's awesome to see.
Yeah, totally. And I think there is this illusion of arriving somewhere where we attach a feeling. If I'm married, then I will stop worrying about the partner. If I'm earning this amount of money, then it will make me feel this. If I'm on that stage. And it's so interesting because when you arrive there, it's almost never what you experience. And that's why I take this so, it's just my everything, because it's not about how it looks, it's about how do you feel when you achieve it. Who are you while you're going there? It's like the person you become is so much more important for me than like putting a meaning to achieving something or being with someone or being in this relationship or whatever. And then most of the time it's not like this. And with every so we have all the things going on, all the abundance
And it's
of sounds.
the abundance of sound. We have a whole living orchestra.
Abundance
You
is
have an
everywhere.
orchestra
Yeah.
for your this
It's
podcast.
like,
It's
yeah.
incredible.
Now you can say, Alex, you all organize it.
You know what? It's like I ask myself, why do I put myself in situations let's say, an emotional guy that would be reactive, and my friends used to see me like 10 years ago, like the vein popping out, that kind of guy. And now I'm putting myself in a position where we have a studio in the cafe doing a podcast where every noise in the world, because we have like thin plastic coverings that protects us from Dubai, and we put ourselves in a position where, of course, we could be triggered left, right, and center. But it's using this to actually mastering our higher selves in a situation where we could be emotional.
Yeah.
And when a time when you want to just be like listening and crystal clear, and then we're having all these distractions, it's such a gift.
Yeah.
That is wrapped in broken glass and rusty screwdrivers. It's a gift.
Yeah.
And but it's like, we can handle that. It tests something within ourselves, like a willpower, that we can actually go, we are much more resilient.
Yeah.
We don't just react because we're under observation.
Yeah.
So there's something about being under observation from people and camera
Yeah.
that holds us to a higher accountability.
Yeah.
So let's say people who are atheists or don't believe in anything, there's no camera watching them. So they're a bit unruly, ungoverned, let's say, sometimes, whoever, right? But if you're under the view that there is something watching, a loving God, let's say, and you feel like you are being observed, as if the universe is listening in. And I wrote in a book, it actually is, because there's the universal laws that is bringing us into equilibrium. So every thought and every action is being observed, because it brings the other to balance us out. So knowing that, like we're on this podcast being observed, and that we are when we're away from this podcast, that we're observed, we then manage our emotions. Then we don't bring in play the universal laws to then bring us back into equilibrium. If we feel like, you know what, let's get used to this feeling that we are under observation. These noises do happen. How do I keep my cool because people are watching? Then it's not the people that the universe is watching. How do I keep my cool? To take that into our everyday practice. I'm just having this realization with you, because we're going through quite an orchestra of sounds today.
That's true.
And it really has. I'm surprised we haven't heard a cat being strung up.
No, we don't know what happens. We still have some time left.
Yeah, we still do. Let's see if we can hold it out.
Yeah.
So, you
that's-
see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's totally interesting what you say. So what I believe is there's always an energetic match. So I would maybe in my language, I would say it like this. For me, it's like, of course, universe is like, or life, whoever is out there is sending us tests to really prove if we are able to hold this amount of people, or hold this amount of visibility, or hold this amount of love, or whatever it is. And I think it's also, again, taking out the meaning of it, but just observing, what was I an energetic match for? Is it like maybe I attracted unavailable men or women? Is it like I attracted these kind of clients? Is it like I attracted this kind of behavior towards me, or crossing my boundaries or whatever? And then like not putting a meaning on it, but then like, oh, okay, interesting. So it seems like I'm an energetic match for that. So where can I set my boundaries straight? Where can I, like see what these maybe unavailable partners or whatever are showing me that still holds a belief in myself? So I believe there is no meaning in the things as long as we give it to the thing or to the circumstance. But I think it's more like being an energetic match for something, because I'm the one who's only following and not leading myself. I can't be a match for a leader, because a leader is leading himself or herself. So it's like, their cup is full. They don't need someone to fill their cup or to show them, prove them something. So I think it's always nice to calibrate and to observe what results do you create at the moment, and like, do they serve you or don't they? And then to really see, I see when things are happening, and they still do, which are tough or challenging, I see, or at the moment especially, I feel like life is testing me. Life is like, okay, are you really serious? Like, are you really able to hold this amount of people? Are you really able to have this amount of visibility, those meanings about you, those interpretations, projections, and everything? And it's like how I respond to it, and if I'm ready for it. And I think it's also a good thing, because if we put 500 new people to someone and the person can't handle it, then not only we don't do him a favor or her, but also the 500 people. So
yeah, setting people up for success.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, 100%, if you, like Warren Buffett said, if you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage money. If you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage your life.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And the only way we start to learn about our emotions, if we take that leap and jump off that cliff and grow our wings, because then we start to unearth the locked emotions that we've yet to confront. And the bigger our life becomes, the more aspects of ourselves we meet in the broader horizons of the people and new situation. This is why Dubai is so interesting, because there's so many different people that we get to see in ourselves from all different cultures, and that we may have not even realized from where we grew up, that we get to own within ourselves. And that's how we grow, because then we get to own the traits of all these, magnificent people, and all the people that we wouldn't say seem as so magnificent. We get to see their traits and own them as well. So we become more whole.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not living in an illusion that we sort of, oh, that one's this and that one's that. It's like we're actually all the same when we unlock the higher self.
Yeah.
And the conditions that we're all living by it's a different story, but ultimately in a different form. We've all lived that story. We just have our own interpretation of events.
I think that wraps up also the thing with moving with a child, because if you don't know another culture, you only interpret, what people tell you or what the majority tell you to stay where you are, to not ask questions, to not develop your mind. But for me, the only valued experience is the lived experience, because I will not create a meaning about something that I didn't experience. So, and I think that happens a lot, because we control people by fearing them or by, keeping them where they are. And it's such a nice tool, also social media, that brings us together. And as you mentioned, like getting to know different cultures and religions and exchange beliefs, and, to have those debates, and not me forcing yourself to understand me, and you not forcing me, but it's more like opening up, getting this expansion in our mind to develop more, or to be more curious about life and whatever is in this life to experience.
Yeah, we're adapting. There's something about coming to Dubai where, it feels that, look, in Al Barari specifically, the wilderness, it doesn't feel like it's Dubai, right?
No, that's
We feel like we're living in something biblical times. It's what it feels like, here in the New Earth Cafe, we've got our self-love store next door, and you talking about your journey of expansion from the old Earth to New Earth, let's say. Yeah. And it really is, it feels like the stuff that's written, in the books.
Yeah.
And to experience that in real time is such a blessing. But once we're here as well, it's sort of, as you said, the test is, once we got here, can we stay here? Because we're here, you still have to grow.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, it's like it doesn't stop. And it's like why people probably don't.
I think I'm done yet.
You know, like, can I just like rest now?
Yeah.
No, that's when you die. Oh, okay, fair enough. So it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like, when's that moment? But so when it's like people who, you know, don't go to the gym or they don't start the gym. I remember having this in my head like years ago, and I went, I think the reason like people don't want to start the gym is because when they start, they have to keep going.
Yeah.
And it's easier just to not go and then just not go.
Yeah.
So I don't go to the gym anymore because I've actually transformed that into a way that I wake up early in the morning. The first thing I do, I don't know how we got to this topic, but hey-ho, is stretches and like I do yoga.
Yeah.
And different forms of yoga I picked up. I learned from Benita, who's actually coming on Sunday to do a podcast. And so, going back to it, it was sustainable. Like the gym was like, oh, I've got to go to the gym. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But now I wake up, it's not even a thing I think about. It's right there. It's convenient. It does everything. The spine is woken up, body weight, push-ups, the pull-ups, the swim, you know? And then it's, you know, walking with my wife, you know, and there's the play of music and symphony and what is best for my soul. Yeah. That I don't have to go to the gym. I can actually, one mat can actually fulfill all those needs. And, you know, of course, there's making love, you know, with the partner and all that stuff. And there's a form of exercise and walking and the swimming and the yoga. Suddenly it was like, I transformed the hardness, having to be hard on myself, to work hard. Yeah. Then go, well, that was a belief of mine for so long. I was like, well, I don't want to do that anymore. Why have I even got that in my psyche, you know? So transforming that from having to do to getting to do, but also not meaning to give up, but putting it as part of the routine. There was like, what else is there that I can do? Because when I'm doing those exercises, I put something on. I'm listening to educational. I'm listening to education. I'm listening to courses, you know. So I'm doing that first thing in the morning. My body and my mind is exercising. The foundation's set. And you know what's quite interesting? Because I was thinking about it the last couple of days. Because it takes me like an hour and a half to set up my day, it's quite a lot I've invested in my day before it started that I don't want to waste my day. Yeah. Because I know I have to do that again the next day. I can't just do all of that and go, oh. Because I go, wait a minute, I've just invested. Okay, but I've invested a lot in my mind and my body. Yeah. Then my soul even feels like it's expanding because I've put that myself first in the universe, which carries force. But when you invest so much in the first moment of the time, you don't want to waste your day because even though it's in the flow, there was a lot I had to do. And then you know, look forward to your first meal and you're just like appreciative. And then, you know, it makes me appreciate my day that much more. Yeah. That not to waste it, that, you know, here's the podcast or I'm writing. And there's a certain flow because when I sleep in, like whenever if I feel like I don't know, like I missed out on something, there's a feeling of a catch up, which I know is an illusion in itself. And I have to, you know, speak to myself about that. But these sort of little things to set ourselves up for success, like you said, you aren't going to give 500 people to one person who can't handle it. But it's about cultivating your emotions and your body, your soul, your mind on a day-to-day basis to set yourself up ready for what's to come. Yeah. You know, that preparation. Okay, so how did you then open the way for so many people? What was because you didn't have this many people straight away. What was your thing that you felt that invited so many people in that you could handle it?
I think it was not conscious, but it was always, I've acted to this be, do, have, without even knowing. So when I was, I don't know, it started very early because I'm in sales since ever. Like I started in sales, you know, when I worked for a perfume shop. Then I went to big brands like Fendi, Tiffany, like Porsche, all those brands. And this comes back to the thing we talked about before. I just realized that me being able to read people, me being able to see what they need, to learn the body language, because I had to in my past when I was a child, is now kind of a superpower. So I think that's why I always was so successful in sales, because for me, I always had the vision of the person with the product or with this business or with, I never waited for the proof. You know, if I have this proof, then I decide that this is a business that could work. It's more, I don't know, I was this visionary, you know, I was this pioneer that was like, okay, what if, like me imagining already to have this success and have this impact. because like when I look back, I was born for it. Now I really feel it, because I was born to move people, and but it's coming due to my childhood that I understand so much more. It's coming from a very I'm okay, you okay state of mind. So it's like, if you buy, I love it. If you don't buy, I still love you. And this feeling of caring about people, of not forcing them, always seeing that this will make their life better, and it doesn't matter if I sell a car or jewelry, high price or whatever. It's like I deeply know in my soul that it will make your life better, or that you will move afterwards, or that you know that fits to your identity or whatever. And I think I was like, when I look back, I was always like this, because if I sold, for instance, with Tiffany, I sold €100 pieces and I sold 150,000 euro pieces. But you know, there was not a difference in how I treat people and how you get my attention and how friendly I am. It's like, I want to make it the best experience for you, so that you always remember this moment.
So it's how you made people feel.
Yeah.
So it's how they remembered how they felt around you is what it was. So they could carry that through. Like, oh, she made me feel a certain way.
I think it's part of it, but more likely I like myself better.
Yeah.
When we were, you know,
In
when
that exchange.
she gave me an idea, or she gave me an idea of how I could feel. And for me, like, also selling is a holy thing. Like, I don't know if I can say it in this way, but it really is. For me, it's like an exchange of energetic value. It's just like, I can't tell how much I love to sell, because it's like the deepest serving for me on people. So every time I'm selling, I know that's a very sacred. Do you say sacred? Sacred?
Yeah.
Sacred. Sacred transition for me, because it's like, I don't expect you to show me anything, but I'm going anywhere. And I think that's kind of very important also, if we work on a self-employed base, to be like, I'm going anywhere and I'm going anyway. So if you join me, I love it. We are, you know, eye to eye, we are shoulder to shoulder. We are doing this, we are in this together. But on the other hand, if it's not your time, if it's not your decision, I'm totally fine with that. So I always acted like be, do, have. So I was, then I did the things out of this, you know, version of myself that I was going towards, and then I got the things. But it was never like I got them first and then I became this person. And I think that's also a difference, which takes a lot of pressure out of every
that's the thing,
transition.
because it's the pressure that you didn't put pressure on people where they felt like they had to do something.
Exactly.
Like somehow the relationship with them mattered only if they bought something or not.
Yeah.
So they
And I see this so often.
felt seen as a human being, rather than they're seen because of their money.
Yeah, and I think that's also happening so much in retail. You know, if you walk in, like I was this one day when I was walking to a label, I don't want to call it out. That doesn't matter. And I really was like, you know, flip-flops and, you know, a trainer. And so when I had the money with me, I wanted to buy a bag. And they didn't even look at me. And I'm like, because I teach, like I was leading teams in retail, I'm like, I'm so sad that this still happens, because you don't see the value of the wallet of someone. It's the same value, you know, if you go in with slippers or with a designer suit or with underwear or whatever, with flip-flops, I don't mind.
This is underwear you might call security, but absolutely.
I don't want to try that in Dubai, but...
I think there's a few people that do actually in downtown. But, you know, each to their own. No, I get it. So ultimately, you know, for a message out there, will open your space up for you to lead a huge amount of people, let's say, to lead your business, that people can find your details, obviously, on this New Earth podcast, is that you wanted to be valuable first, in the sense of having value that you could pass on to them, and the gifts, whichever form it showed up in, was sort of like an anchor to an interaction with you. That they would go, that moment I had with that woman, Hannah, and I've got this to show for it, let's say, is an anchor to that experience. Yeah. Like we have at Self-Love, it's not about the product, it's about the ethos, the philosophy that you automatically animate from yourself, because you're like, it's an enigmatic feeling. I think that's the right word. That when you leave people feeling that way, and ultimately you feel that way, when there's an exchange of something there, it's a beautiful symphony that's happening, and they feel entrusted to exchange energy, and they have something to show for it that they have with them now. That, you know, from that moment, and maybe they haven't felt good because they had the money, but they haven't had an interaction with somebody's present with them, and that they realize is more valuable than any money or anything they could ever buy. And I think this is what it's about. Stepping into the new earth is the real currency is presence. The real currency is love. And everything else is
the sprinkles.
You know, it's exactly, you know, at the end of the day, we're realizing, especially in Dubai, you can buy and buy and buy and have everything. You realize I'm not fulfilled. So then ultimately, what is it all about? Because we're getting to a place, especially with people around us, that we're not in survival anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I mentioned right at the beginning, when you're in survival, you have a reason to live, to survive. You can distract yourself. But then when you come out, well, am I not surviving? Then what's my purpose now? Because there's a shift suddenly. You're not in your amygdala. You're now in your higher executive function, your higher self. And then it's about purpose. And then it's a deeper calling. Then it's the work within. Now you have to reflect. And then you have to go through all of that stuff, the shame and everything else, and actually draw your energy from the places that we've kept from ourselves to step in, to become leaders, to become the, you know, the disruptors, the game changers, you know, whomever we want to call ourselves. But to go to that place, not everybody, you know, has the foresight to go there. It's tough, but the toughest thing is to not go there. I've lived the life the other side in the old earth. I've been that guy in every capacity to not go within. And you go without. And though you can distract yourself and blame everyone else on the outside by not taking responsibility for your life, it's very, you know, it's easy, but your life is hard, you know? And, but when you step out of that, the revelation, and it's still not, like, it's not, like being here where we are, it's not like we're there now.
No.
We know it's just like, it feels like it's just the beginning, you know, every single moment, every single day. It's just like, whew, and there's something that rocks us a little bit and we go, okay, you know, testing our power. And it's that realization that's going within, like it doesn't stop, because now we're on this path, you know. It's a beautiful journey.
Yeah, it is.
But it's also, you know, it's got its pain and pleasures, but when it's a purpose bigger than ourselves, and we have, you know, people who are dependent, who are then becoming independent, and it's a thing that's growing, it means that life with that purpose, you can handle the pains and pleasures.
Exactly.
Because it's not you're seeking the pleasure to avoid the pain. You understand that you need the pain because you're going to get the pleasure, because it's all for a purpose that's bigger than us. Because, you know, when you're in a ship in the seas and there's the winds and the rains, and it's like, if you haven't got a direction to go, you know you're just going to get taken out. But if you know that you've got to get somewhere, no matter how stormy those weathers are, and you've put yourself in that place that you're going to get there no matter what, you'll survive any storm. But until you find that purpose and that place to go to, that point, we know what happens, right? We get shipwrecked on some island that we don't want to be on until we get back on the boat or plank and get exactly, and then we do it again. But if you stop, then you reserve yourself on a maybe an island that has a coconut, and that's about it. And there's maybe another island just close by that has
pina coladas.
Exactly, you know, everything. A newer pina colada. I know myself, the crown chakra. So, you know, it's like, that's it. But what are we willing to settle? Or do we feel like, you know what, we're expansive. It does mean getting back out there into the sea, building that boat again. But you know what? I trust myself enough that I'm going to make it.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing, the trust, definitely. And also, as I mentioned, or as we spoke about before, the self-importance, to really decide that what we have to say is important enough, you know, to be heard and to be seen and to start. And this is where the fact comes in that there will be no circumstance telling you that you're ready. And for me, like if I have relationships or even in sales, is always, for me, the person comes first. It's like how the person feels. If the person leaves, what do they feel? What do they take away with? yeah, and I think that's what it is about. So to really have, yeah, to be clear about your attachments, maybe what does it mean about you, and to work on that, to be able to serve people in a way where it's not only a proof for you being important or for your own importance.
Okay. You know, something just come up because I'm reading a book at the moment my wife told me about called Attachment or Attached. And it's about 3 styles. They've contextualized everything. I'm still reading it. That people are either the anxious type, the withdrawing type, if that's the word, and the avoidance type. And then you have the secure type.
Yeah.
So you're stepping into this world, you're in Dubai, and how do you find that you're in this place now, looking for a man to share your life with? What is your challenge around that? Because obviously there's women looking at you going, you know, wow, but you know, what is it? Because you've obviously got your other challenges coming into your life. What would that challenge be?
I think it's several, because first of all, it's like facing your wounds from the past, you know, to be like, this space isn't taking anymore energetically. That was a big journey to this point. Now I could really say I'm really open, and I'm not proving anything with a new partner or not fulfilling anything, any lack or something. But I think I don't know if it's this place or people move here to, how do you say, it's like, it's not a long-term commitment most of the time. It's more to go here, get most of it, the benefits, the money or whatever, and then go back to where they come from, like their home country, a hometown relationship sometimes that you don't even know. And I think one part is to develop your mind and your spirit and everything, you know, to become more aware. So it's also, you will not be an energetic match for someone who's not taking care of his emotions and his awareness about the things and the planet and the animals and all the things. So this is not happening. And then on top of that, of course, it has to be someone who's accepting and saying yes to a child. On the other hand, it's like, I have the feeling we are so much into this dopamine nation where everything comes quick, you know, the likes, the comments, the shares, the pleasure, everything. I mean, you can buy everything if you want, and everything comes so easy. But meaningful things to me is like things we earn, things we make it work, things we figure it out together, things we commit, where we don't go when it's easy. And, you know, for me, I don't want something that's easy in a way of I get it and then that's it, and, you know, like this ego kind of thing. For me, it's like to make the decision to always decide to say yes to each other every day. It's like, for me, it's a constant work. It's not only once I'm there, it's done. But what I'm facing here, since I'm here, is like to have meaningful people or men, to have men that are really available emotionally and also not in a relationship or pretending to be single or something. This is a big thing.
They would say that would be the avoidance type people. It's interesting because you start seeing it's like a label. I'm reading it. It helps people to put people in categories. Are they avoidant type? And to be fair, we have it all within ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm avoidant. I can be angry. But coming to the place of security, like you mentioned, is knowing oneself. And you know, when you're a secure person, you can invite, say, an anxious type and put them at ease. Because some people just, you know, maybe not at that level where you are yet. Depending on if you find that moment, you know, you see their soul and go, we've got similar vision.
Yeah.
Because when you have a shared vision, there's something about then making it work. Like my wife and I, if we didn't have a purpose bigger than us, I don't think we would have made it.
Yeah.
In the sense that we've been thrown everything at us.
Yeah.
Hey, I've thrown my stuff at it as well, just to for good measures, and to be really testing it all, you know. And if we didn't have that, it could have easily just broken away. But there's something just said, no, this is it, you know. And there is something where it's like a calling's bigger than us. It just is there. And I feel like, you know, that's what you're seeking. That's not what I say is seeking, because whatever we seek, we will attract the opposite.
Yeah,
So it's just like you knowing yourself you're mirroring that in the world of who you see yourself in that person. You go, oh, there's that match.
Yeah.
So what do you feel within yourself is, that within yourself that once you overcome it, if there is, that will attract the man into your life? What is that? Do you think there's something there that's having you not see him? Or there's something there that the switch and then he'll come into your life? What do you think that is? If that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Before I would have said trust in the providing energy, because as my history in with my dad is like, I wasn't able to trust in the providing, in the male, they call it leadership, call it guidance, whatever it is. So it's like I always, and I had the proofs, of course, to provide for myself. So it's like now being in a place where I'm like, and this is so interesting with women I'm leading as well. It's like if you come to a place where you don't look for a partner because of financial reasons, because of maybe, I don't know, physical needs, because of other needs, we're in a totally playful field, because then it's like the cherry on the top, that I created the life I wanted, but with you it's getting better. And this is a different state of mind. It's also in our history, I think we've never been on this place where women can make their choices not based on financial reasons or provider reasons, but more for, okay, can we dance barefoot on a festival and then go to the 5-star hotel? Can you be messy and just spending the day in a sunbed and then also going to the opera, like living, that's what I...
Vicariously.
Yeah, what I believe in is like... having someone who experiences life with you, but all the facets that you have, the cheeky one, the clumsy one, the stylish one, the sexy one, like all those.
One who just owns himself, is
yeah.
just authentic.
Yeah.
This sounds like you just want somebody who is a mirror match to you, like the mirror opposite is themselves.
Yeah.
And God, I think I might know somebody actually. Funny enough.
Why do you
that
come
could
up
be quite
like now after all these years? Well,
I just took a podcast. That's all.
I wasn't ready before, so it's like.
Well, let's see. He's a friend. I'll reach out to him and see because it sounds like kind of a bit like him actually. But do you feel like you've got the space open for somebody to come in? Do you feel like you've opened the space?
Yeah. Yeah, now I can say yes. Before I thought I was ready, but I wasn't, and I made compromises. Because there was a funny thing, it just happened recently, but I think I have to tell you when the micros are off, what I manifested into my life in here, in the neighborhood. But I think it's also like knowing who you are and setting your standards, what you expect as a woman as well. I don't know. It's like, I think it's very attractive if a man knows who he is, who doesn't need things for his ego, because it's very easy, if I go out in Dubai, like tables full of women, you can call and you book any like red hair, blonde hair, black hair. It's easy. It comes easy. But in my experience, like, this is boring if you experience it. But what is more playful is like, that feeling from the first call, or the texting through all the nights, like not wanting to put your phone down because you're like, oh my God, what if he or she is writing something and I could miss something? I don't know, this feeling of all these first moments is like so much more meaningful. And sometimes I doubted that someone can take all these facets and all the depth I have, you know what I mean, to hold all of it, and this is something I want to build my trust on also this year, and it's my focus to really trusting in that it's out there, and that there is someone who will be able to hold all those facets and all those feelings and all, like, I think it takes a lot to say yes to a powerful woman, because it's like you have to own yourself, you have to know who you are, and it's not something for someone who's playing around and looking for the easy kind of thing.
No, well,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Well, you have a child as well, so it's not like, but there's a part of you, it sounds like you want that kind of teenage love, that kind of new feeling, and it's coming in and it's new and it's exciting. I mean, my wife and I I think we just skipped that stage completely, but
It's like dream on.
because it's like, I don't know, it's just, it depends, because however it comes, and, is that part of yourself that, teenage, that love. I remember when I was a teenager, that kind of love was an infatuation more than say love. I didn't know what love actually was, because when you're there, sometimes it can feel like we are infatuated with that person, that we're then looking for somebody that we can put on a pedestal, that is suddenly this big fantasy, and then we break our hearts because suddenly they're not who we've projected. There's this fantasy that they can't live up to. And then we go through this stage of, well, if it doesn't feel like that, if it's not got that push and pull, that drama, whatever, then it's not love. And this book does talk about that the anxious type is looking for that. I'm not saying that's what you are, but we all are to a degree, is looking for that. And if it feels too calm and too normal, then it's not the one.
Exactly.
But that's actually the illusion. That's when it actually is. Because you don't have all that drama.
Exactly.
In fact, you're just okay with that person. And it's like, oh, but then I can carry on focusing what I'm doing and not have the drama and the pull of why and this
or
and that.
proving yourself.
And all that stuff. And then you can go, oh, you can be just myself, and they can just be themselves, and we can get building. We can build a life. But people get caught up in the drama thinking that's how our relationships need to be, because we've had our parents go through the same thing. So when it doesn't feel that way, then we feel like there's something missing. But in fact, like that beeping we heard earlier, when it's quiet, it's learning to live in that quietness, that stillness with somebody. And then you're not distracted by the drama that we have within, and it's on the out, that we can actually get building, like the new earth, and get creative. Things are going to show up, though, either way. As the deeper you go into the relationship, stuff is going to come up to the surface.
Totally.
But once you're in that calm place, that still place, you're actually going to go into a much deeper aspect of yourself and in the relationship. So aligning to that, I feel absolutely that's coming into your future. And let's do another podcast when that guy walks in, and you can have him here. Hi, and I'll be like, hi mate, how you doing? See, is it going? Anyway, so now the final question is, like, if your life was now a movie, what kind of movie would it be now?
You have such good questions today for me. And it's so funny because I just been to a soul reading, and it was so funny. Like really, like everything made so much sense in the end. And there was one word, and it's so interesting because it's like coming in every facet at the moment, and this is bloom. So I feel like really it's also the year I'm turning 40. It's like now it's the time, the time of growing, the time of being closed up and healing and nurturing and, licking all the wounds and, getting over those things. And now it's like blooming and experiencing myself. So I don't know if it would be a title, but it would be about the journey of like revealing every pattern, like a rose, like those rose petals where you're like, okay. And she told me, the woman, she did the soul reading, she was like, it's like a rose. She doesn't care, like, who can smell me? How do I need to grow? She's just blooming. And I think that's part of my life this year, where I'm like, okay, I will not shy away. I will not make myself smaller. I will not compromise on anything. I will not be too this and too that. I will just bloom in the most beautiful and aligned way, and whatever is there to be attracted by it, that's a match, and whatever decides to stay away, it's not a match, and to trust in that.
So it's about finding people who can handle the thorns, to be willing to be able to smell the rose
as well,
because every beauty has its ugliness. Let's say everybody has it, but are we able to hold it? To then cherish it, because we all do, and things are going to show up, but there is real beauty when we're willing to look through that aspect of ourselves that we're willing to put out there, and it's confronting the shame and the ugly parts that we deemed as ugly, and then somebody goes, but I don't see it that way. I accept you, I love you, and it's like, then that gives me permission to love myself, And we don't realize how the depths of that yet until we're in a relationship as well. We can do it there with ourselves, but then it's like, whoa, it's another ball game, you know, when you're with somebody, because new layers start to come out. But once you're in a position that you're in now where you feel secure, that you're not needing a man for something specifically, that you can handle it, and you are, you know, aligning with your feminine as well as your masculine, that there's this sort of harmony that you can invite somebody else in, you know, that's it. It's the equilibrium, you know. It's not to fill everything in, that you are opening space for somebody to come in to smell you. Is that how we're going to end this podcast?
I wanted to say when you said smelling the rose. Oh, yeah, okay. Actually, I hope everyone is over 18, above 18.
I'm sure most people who will listen to this are.
Perfect.
But, you know, if they're not, whatever it is, they're going to gain a lot from it.
That's true.
And it's been absolutely lovely to have you on
so
here.
Much.
Is there anything, final words you want to say?
No, I think it's just empowering all of you out there to allow yourself to be seen in the darkest places, and also to unfold and to try it again and to love again and to not compromise on any of these feelings, because that's what life is about. And yeah, there's so much waiting if we are ready to embrace all of it. So yeah.
Absolutely. Let's embrace it. Let's embrace life.
Yes.
Let's get a whole bouquet
of roses.
Much love, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much for checking out the New Earth Studios. We're interviewing people just like you. And as you click subscribe, we get to grow and expand and potentially take this concept to a community near you. So what you're subscribing to isn't just a channel. You're subscribing to, ultimately, the New Earth. What does that mean for you? For us, it's bringing about duality back into equilibrium so that we all live from a place of love. So when you click on that button, say to yourself, I am worthy of love, because you are. Thank you for checking us out. Much love. We vibe when you subscribe.